Hi everyone, it's Lindy on here from Pink Whisper Designs. Today I thought I'd show you how I made this Happy Thanksgiving card using some Lawn Fawn products, but I also wanted to show you how I did this leaf inlay background. So let's get started. We're going to use the Strathmore Bristol Smooth 100-pound cardstock, and we're going to take this largest die from the small stitched rectangle Stackables dies from Lawn Fawn. I'm going to run that through my Spellbinders Platinum 6 machine, and you can see that I get a beautiful stitch border all the way around. Now with my small stitched leaves, I'm going to go ahead and lay these out on this panel. Now I want to kind of start from the center and work my way out. I did find that that's the easiest way to do this. So I'm going to kind of place these randomly, and I'm going to want some of those leaves to hang over the edge. But I want enough of the leaf. I don't want tiny little pieces of the leaf because they'll be a little too difficult to deal with later. So I've gone ahead and placed all my leaves here, and I'm going to go ahead and hold those down with a little bit of purple tape. Now I'm running this first set through my Spellbinders Platinum 6 machine. Then I'm going to remove all of those. I'm placing them in a little container here so that I don't lose anything because we will need these later to place back into this background. So now here I'm going to attach a few more of the leaves, just again kind of working from that center towards the edges, and you do want some of the leaves to hang over the edge. So again I'm going to tape those in place. And you can play around with this a little bit here. Again, trying not to get any really tiny little pieces because, again, it will be difficult to inlay those back in place later on. So now I'm going to run this through again. And now I've just got a few more little areas that I wanted to fill in. So I'm taping down a few more leaves here. And then I'm going to run that through one more time. So now you can see the background that we have. Now what I want to do is take my Peacock Feathers Distress Oxide ink and my Picket Fence Life-Changing brush there, and I'm just going to go ahead and apply a nice even coating of this all the way around. And this brush is perfect for this technique because the bristles are very soft, so it'll be easy to get around all those little areas. So now with that leftover ink that I have there, I'm going to clean off my brush quickly, and then I'm going to spritz this leftover ink with a little bit of water from my Distress sprayer. And I'm going to go ahead and spatter this. Now you could certainly spatter with just the plain water, but I thought it'd be nice to add this little bit of color here to the background. So I'm just using a small brush and I'm going to spatter that entire background. So now once that's done, I'm going to take the gathered twigs. I'm pressing a little bit of that on my glass medium mat, spritzing it with water, and I'm going to do the same thing here with the gathered twigs. Just spattering that on the background, and this is just going to give a beautiful effect to this background. So again, I continue to do that all the way around. Now I'm going to heat set that quickly with my heat tool. And now you can see that beautiful spattering that we have. So now I've got all my little leaves here. So I want to color these in, and I want to do this fairly quickly. So I'm just going to lay out the leaves here. And then I'm going to start with some Distress Oxide inks. And I'm going to place these on my mat all at one time here. I'm going to grab the Barn Door, the Spice Marmalade, the Ripe Persimmon, and again, just laying these directly one next to the other, the Twisted Citron, the Fossilized Amber, and the Mowed Lawn. And I'm going to just spritz all of these colors with a little bit of that water from my distress sprayer. And now this is really fun to do. I'm just going to start patting. I'm turning these over because these leaves have a beautiful stitched look on the front of them. So I'm turning them over and I'm picking up some of that ink. And I'm just randomly picking it up here until I get the colors that I like. And I'm doing one coating here, but you can always let these dry and then come back in and add another coat of color. And that's the nice thing with the Distress Oxide inks, is that you would be layering colors on top of each other. So you heat set it and then add more color if you want to. I did find that the one layer of color was just enough. So I'm just kind of, again, randomly picking up the colors. I want a little bit of the orange, yellows, and greens. Now you could just do all one color, or, certain shapes of leaves one color and then the other shapes a different color. But I thought the random look was kind of what I was going for here. And you can see how quickly this goes. So now I have all of those all set to go. So now that I'm going to set those aside to dry, and I'm going to cut another panel from the Bristol Smooth Cardstock, just like we did before, the same die that we used before, so that I can place these leaves right on top of that panel. So now I'm going to be using my ATG 700 tape dispenser, and I'm going to put tape all over this panel, and I want to make sure that I completely cover it in the tape. Now we're going to lay down that background right on top of this panel. And then all of those openings, again, will have adhesive in there so that when we do our inlays, we can just pop those in place. And this makes it really easy to put all these little pieces in here. Now you could use glue if you prefer, but I find the tape to be a really easy way to do this. And this is such fun to do. I don't know. I just found this fun and relaxing. It's like putting a puzzle together. It's kind of fun to just find the pieces and pop those in place. And then when you're done, it just looks so beautiful. I love this inlay technique. This would be really fun to do with other solid images like some butterflies, or any shapes would be really fun. So now I've finished putting all those in. And I'm just going to use my brayer here to press these pieces in place. Just makes it really easy to press those right into place and make sure they're securely attached. So you can see how beautiful that looks. So now I'm going back to the gathered twigs and my life-changing brush here, and I'm just going to give a nice little coating of that all around the edges. Just kind of a light edging of that. And once I did that, I decided that I wanted the edges to be a little bit darker. So I am coming in with my foam applicator tool and just going around that edge. Just kind of brushing it right along those edges there, just to take that white away from the edge and make that border just a little bit darker. Now I'm going to use the ground coffee and the Kraft cardstock from Lawn Fawn, and these are both 100-pound weight cardstocks. And I'm going to go ahead and cut this ground coffee to size to fit right behind my panel. So that will be 4 inches by 5 1/4. And then I'm also going to create the card from that Kraft cardstock, and that'll be 4 1/4 inches by 11. And then I'm going to go ahead and score that at 5 1/2. So that will make a standard A2 size card. And this is a top folding card, but we are going to turn it on its side so it opens from the side, and you can see that there. So now using my 1/4" double-sided tape, I'm going to go ahead and attach all of these layers together here. So I've got everything assembled, and you can see how that card opens from the side there. So now I'm going to take these stamps here, the raccoon, the acorn, and the little hat, and this is the Forest Feast stamp set, and I have the coordinating dies as well, again from Lawn Fawn, and I'm just pointing there to that little acorn as well. And I'm going to go ahead and ink this up with my VersaFine Onyx Black ink. I'm cleaning it off with my stamp Shammy, and then I'm going to go ahead and stamp the hat and the little acorn as well. And I am going to be needing 4 or 5 of the little acorns, so I'm going to go ahead and stamp those now. Now using my coordinating dies, I'm going to go ahead and attach the dies with a little bit of purple tape, and then I'm going to run those through my Sizzix Sidekick machine. So the next thing we're going to do is color in these images. We're using the Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens in the gray brown and the dark brown, and I'm going to color my little raccoon here. I'm starting off with the lightest color and then adding the darker color, and then I'm just going to blend those two together. I'm using my blender pen here, and I'm just cleaning it off first just to make sure it's clean before I get started. And you can clean it off in between colors as well. And I'm just going to pull that darker color into the lighter color here and blend these two out. So the Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens are a water-based marker, and they have a brush tip on them, but it's a very detailed brush tip, so you can get into these little tiny areas. So it's really easy to blend. You can also blend, now I'm using the blender brush by Zig, but you can also use a water brush as well. So, and I am using the Bristol Smooth Cardstock here, so it makes the blending really simple. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the tail, and I'm just really adding color down towards the bottom here, and then pulling it up towards the top, so the top of the tail will be the lightest. So here I'm just adding a little bit more of that darker color and blending those together. So now I'm going to go ahead and do the little tummy area, and I'm just using a light gray here to do this. So I'm just adding a little bit of it all around the edges of that center section there, and then pulling it in towards the middle. Now I'm going to continue to do his face here with the colors that I was using before. And now I'm going to use dark gray and black to do the rest of this little raccoon here. And again, the lighter color, then the darker color, and then sort of pulling towards the center. I want to keep the center the lightest. And then I'm going to do the same thing I did before with the tail, just the darker color on the bottom, and then pulling that up towards the top. So this little raccoon is really simple to color in. And I'm using a little bit of that sugared almond pink for his ears there, and you can see him up close. So now I'm going to the black, and I'm going to do this little hat. And again, I'm going to keep the center the lightest, so I'm just using the black and pulling it in from the left and the right. And you can clean off your brush in between here if you get a little too much color. Just keep cleaning it off and pulling it in. And now I'm going to use the orange to do the little strap on the hat. And I'm also going to use carmine red. And then I'm going to blend those two together. And then this is my Lawn Fawn glitter pen. And I'm just going to add a little glitter to that buckle. So now you can see that up close. Now for these little acorns, I'm going to be using oatmeal. And then I'm going to add a little bit of the orange color that we used before, just to bring that orange color in a little bit, because we have it on the leaves and on the hat. Just a tiny bit, and I'm going to pull that from the left towards the right. And that's just going to give us a little bit of shadowing on the left side there. So now I'm going to go back to the Kraft cardstock, and we're going to create a little sentiment banner here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this little panel about 4 3/4 by 3/4 of an inch, just wide enough to create a little bit of a banner here. So now that I have that all set, I'm just going to cut some little tails on either end. So I'm just snipping in towards the center, maybe about 1/4 of an inch. Then I'm cutting in from each side just to create that little notch there. Now I want to use my Thanksgiving sentiment, and this is from the Happy, Happy, Happy add-on set, and then the Happy, Happy, Happy coordinating die set. So I'm going to go ahead and die cut that 3 times from the ground espresso paper that we used before. Now I've placed that banner in my Misty stamp positioner, and that's where the happy is going to be. And I want the Thanksgiving to be towards the right of that. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp this. I'm just lining everything up here. And then I'm going to move that out of my way here so that I can do the stamping. And I'm going to ink this up using the VersaFine Vintage Sepia ink pad. And this is a beautiful dark brown color. So now that I've got that all set, I'm going to go ahead and glue together all my little happy die cuts here. So I'm just using the glue tube from Lawn Fawn to glue all 3 of these together. You just want to spend a little bit of time lining those up. And that's going to give us a nice thick embellishment here. So now that can get glued right to this little banner. So I'm just going to let that sit and dry. I'm putting an acrylic block on there. Now what I want to do is take the gathered twigs, and I'm going to go all around the edges of this little banner. Now that's going to sit sort of down towards the bottom of my card here, but I did want to pop that up. So I'm going to use the Gina K foam squares, and I've placed them all along the back here, and I'm just going to position this in place. Now I'm going to go ahead and grab the little raccoon, and I did want to glue his little hat on, so I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of glue here and attach the hat. And then I'm going to be popping him up as well, just so he is flush with that banner that we've created. And I'm also going to attach this little acorn as well. So I'm going to be putting the foam squares on the back, and you don't want to put it right at the very bottom because you want him to sit over that banner a little bit. So put the foam square just up a little bit, maybe about 1/4 of an inch there. And then you can position him in place. And you can see that he sits over that banner just a little bit. So. And now I'm going to grab my white Jelly Roll gel pen, and I'm just going to highlight the letters here. I just thought they looked a little too plain, and this will bring them to life a little bit. Just adding a couple little dots and dashes here just to bring them, just to give them a little bit of a highlight. Now I'm going back to this stamp set and I'm going to say, grab that sentiment there that says, so thankful for every moment with you. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp that on the inside of my card. So I've lined everything up here. And again, I'm going back to the vintage sepia ink and I'm going to ink that up and stamp that. So I'm creating this card for challenge number 64 with Lawn Fawn. It's called Cards for Guys. So I thought this would make a great Thanksgiving card for mail. Now with those leftover acorns that we had before, I'm going to go ahead and attach 3 of those on the inside of my card here, just to kind of tie the front of the card into the inside of the card. I'm using my little jewel picker here to pick these up and put them in place. And there is a list of all the supplies I used down at the bottom and also on my blog. And there's also a link to the Cards for Guys card challenge there as well. So here you can see the finished card, and I just love that background so much. I think it's so pretty. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe. And don't forget to visit me at pinkwhisperdesigns.com. Thank you so much and have a great day. Bye-bye.